So Stuart Varney was on Fox and Friends recently, and he had something to say about obviously the president. He says the president has transformed America from a dynamic, prosperous growth economy into a bureaucracy that redistributes wealth. And he's talking about the growth of people on food stamps and
Right.
government
Well, yeah,
assistance.
well, of course we're talking about food stamps because
Of
we got to
course.
be the right color to get the food stamps, right? You get if you go in there and you're the wrong color, well then you're doing something wrong. But if you're the right color, well then that's okay.
He goes through and he breaks down all the different amounts of money that we spend on social programs, right? And how many people are on social on the social safety net systems, right? And of course he neglects to go into specifics about why people are on these systems. Instead he blames
Yeah.
people for not wanting to give up free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
um, and of course he does not he neglects to mention the fact that there are 3 people for every open job. There are not enough jobs for people. The whole austerity thing
Oh God,
has
fucking
cut the public sector to pretty much nothing.
which was a farce to begin with. The austerity measure, like just the what last couple months or whatever, is like complete and utter farce, disaster, whatever. And these fucking
Debunked.
people are still hanging on to it. Why? Because I guess
It's
they think the people
ideological.
are too stupid. Is that right? Is that what it
It's
is?
it's an ideological bent. They hold on to this thing. They're like, no, it's true, seriously, because
Just like my unicorns in my fantasy land, rainbow, rainbow colors out there.
well, you've heard John Stewart calling it Bullshit Mountain, and that's exactly what it
Bullshit.
is.
No, and one other thing about Stuart Varney, does he discuss the corporate welfare system at all? Because I'm sure he would give equal play to that since they're so fair and balanced. I'm sure that he would talk about how corporations take a massive amount of government resources. Surely he talked about that.
Wrong again, Mike.
God damn. I'm not very
Wrong
good at this.
again. And I kind of want to go into before I get into that, of course, I want to get into some of the benefits, of course, of the SNAP program. Now, one of the major sticking points that he mentioned up is that SNAP costs $82 billion a year, right? Well, yeah, right now, but according to the CBO projections, that's actually going to start tapering off. So it's going to start as the economy gets better. Guess what? Less people have to use government services. So when there are actually jobs, people will actually go and try to get them so that they don't have to take government welfare. Well, that just shoots a giant, Stuart Varney's head-sized hole into his argument. And what you had mentioned, he said nothing about corporate welfare. You know that corporate welfare costs U.S. taxpayers over $100 billion a year.
And believe me, it's a much more. I'm sure it's much more than that because I'm sure that's the surface number. But then when you start digging deeper into it, you start looking at lower tax rates. You start looking at rebates back to corporations, which
Like GE.
but again, it has its place. It can work well. There's a time and a place for it. But just this broad sweep of like, oh, forget everybody on the lower end of the spectrum. They mean nothing. And give everything to the higher end of the spectrum because if we somehow just figure out a way to give them more money, I'm sure it'll work out in the end. That's fucking fantasy land. If you live in rainbow land, go live in rainbow land. Just stop messing with the reality. Okay.
Well, like I said, Varney absolutely says nothing about corporate welfare. I'm not surprised. But do you know some of these statistics on
He should. He should
effectiveness
talk
of
about
this?
corporate welfare. MSNBC is owned by GE, who doesn't pay any taxes. So he has a.
You are correct.
Right. So he has a fine shot to stick it right to MSNBC because that's all they do over there. They like, oh my God, I gotta, ratings. I just gotta. Oh my God. So how are we gonna beat up on MSNBC today? There you go. That's easy. That's an easy one. That one's free for you, Stuart Varney. But you don't want to listen to me. Okay,
Nobody wants to listen.
You don't want to listen to you.
Nobody
I don't
wants
watch
to
Fox
listen to
News.
people who make sense. This is all about demonizing the poor.
This is
I
all
mean,
about
call it
what?
for what it is. You want to look. The people that watch Fox News are older people. All right, these are older people and these are very, very conservative people who basically
Very poor
blame the
people.
younger generations. They call us one of the laziest generations when we have to work twice as hard to even find a job.
Well, right, and worker productivity has gone up. CEO profits have gone up. The only thing that's stagnated is worker wages.
That's strange.
So you
So
can't really
CEO
stand
pay
there
has
and tell me,
risen.
yeah, you can't really stand there and tell me that that we're lazy if our worker productivity is going through the roof. Like that just doesn't jive with my version of reality. But I could be wrong. I don't think I am though.
No, I don't think you're. I think you're spot on. And going back to some of the SNAP statistics here, we've got 50.1 million Americans. They live in food insecure households, and that was in 2011. According to a USDA study, SNAP benefits reduced the prevalence, depth, and severity of poverty between 2000 and 2009. So there's a definite stimulative good effect of food stamp spending.
Sure.
It gets put right back in the economy.
Well, absolutely. But Jeff, would you say that the SNAP program can be disguised very easily as another giveaway to large corporations? We were talking
You
about that a
actually
little.
are. You're right, 100%, because you've got Walmart, which is one of the biggest
Fuck
offenders
Walmart. Fuck Walmart. I'm
when it
sorry.
comes to corporate welfare, because you've got Walmart that pays they pay their workers so
So
little,
low, right? The
and
bar is
they
so low,
encourage them to get on these government programs. And you
which is
also notice that an interesting fact here is that most of the jobs that have come back in our so-called recession, right? Or I should say our so-called recovery from the recession, is that it's all low wage service sector jobs. You've got your Walmarts, you've got your Taco Bell, you've got your Wendy's, your McDonald's. All of those are the jobs that come back, and guess what? Those don't pay enough of a wage for a person to live on their own. There is no state in America where you can live on a minimum wage and actually pay your bills, buy food. You can't even afford a two-bedroom apartment
no, you can't,
on a minimum
and
wage salary.
that's 100% true. Senator Warren was saying not that long ago that at the if minimum wage were to rise at the same pace as CEO profits and worker productivity, minimum wage should be $22.50 an hour right now.
Yeah,
So,
it would be incredibly high, and that's she's absolutely accurate. I love
and
it.
that's not incredibly high. Let's not get things twisted here. That's
That's
about
a
on
living
average
wage.
of where you want to be. Now you want to go up from that because everybody wants a good life for themselves, right? And that's totally admirable.
Oh
But
yeah,
the baseline should be about 40K a year, not 20K or 15K or whatever the fuck it is right now.
because you're looking at people that live at the poverty wage. The poverty line is like $23,000 a year for a family of four, and even that is so like non-representative of what the poverty line really should be. It should be much higher because our standards of living are very high now,
You
very
cannot
high.
tell me in the richest country on the globe. Let's really stop and kind of try to wrap our heads around that. We have so much money in America. Like we have so much money. You guys don't get it. it it's not even like up for debate. We're so rich. But then this is like pretending like, oh well, oh man, what are we gonna do? We can't obviously have hospitals everywhere. We can't have quality schools. We can't have roads, bridges, infrastructure. We can't have high speed rails. We can't have this. We can't have that. What are you
But
guys talking about? That's
we have
outrageous.
more than enough money to bomb brown people.
We, that's funny you say that. And okay, so moving on from that. But you're exactly right. So you can't, again, this is Fantasyland, this is Rainbow World. We, we have to fight so hard to reframe this entire debate. I've been paying attention since about 2001, 2002, been into politics like as hard as I am right now for about a decade. I'm telling you guys, it's been like this the whole time. We have to reframe, we have to work and hard and fight to reframe this entire debate because right now it's completely off in fantasy land. So don't let anybody try to tell you, oh no, no, let's put it back in the center, agree on a reality that we can discuss. And if nobody wants to agree on the center, then ignore them, get them out of there, because what they're doing in the long run is they're not doing any good. They become part of the problem, not part of the solution. So if they live in this whole other reality, and you know what I'm talking about, the right wing bubble, whatever the hell the name of it is for, if they don't live in the center, even if you're left wing or right wing, doesn't really matter. But you got to come back to reality. You can't live in this bubble and try to solve all these problems. And if anybody tries to tell you that you can, get them out of your life.
The essentials of actually having a functioning democracy mean that people actually have to get together, resolve their differences, and govern. And you can't do
Libertarians
that.
and progressives, I've said this for a long time.
Far out there. You can't govern effectively if one side is so far out there and continuously moving the goalposts. And that's what we have today. And I'm going to let you have the last word on this one.
Have a lot to agree on. And libertarians and progressives have so much more than you could ever imagine to agree on. You may disagree on some fundamental facts. That's okay. But if you have a libertarian friend, or if you're a libertarian watching me, find that progressive friend. Find whoever it is, and talk to him about it and discuss things with him. Because, man, I tell you, it's not like not everybody lives in this bubble, but I think the media basically makes us think that we do. We don't. So wake up, come out of the matrix, and get on Jeff Waltar's show, because it's been an amazing show. And I got to tell you, TYT Community is the best show in the world, other than the Young Turks.